Hey, everybody. Welcome to Game Audio Hour number 137. It's a weekly podcast. We discuss all things game audio, from creative ideas to latest techniques, project experiences, audio secrets. Here's where you find your in-depth coverage and opinions related to game audio. Hey, Vince, what you doing, man? You had a solo show last week.
I did. It was kind of fun, actually. It was a first. I think it's not just a first for me, but also a first for the show. I think it did all right. I think it did okay.
Would you be green, blue, purple, or yellow if you had to choose a solo album cover? And I'm making a reference to the Kiss records when they put out their solo albums. They each had a different color.
Well, yeah. The first thing to come to mind is blue, because I'm just staring at this blue mic right here.
So you're the ace. You're the ace. The Ace Frehley of this foursome.
Oh, I guess so.
Chase, do you know the reference? Don't look it on the internet. I want you to pick a color, man. Are you going to go red, green, or yellow? That's what's left over.
Well, I'll just have to do green.
Green. You're the Peter Criss of this outfit.
Is that a good thing?
Yeah, I think it was yellow. I'm going to go with yellow and just stick Mike with the Gene Simmons. He's not here. We should wear Kiss makeup for one of these shows. You know, we should just like.
No.
Oh, come on.
Halloween only.
No. Oh, yeah. Let's do that. Come on. You get the silvery star face. And you get Ace. Vince, that's the best one.
Yeah, I guess it's not bad. I guess it's mostly the sunglasses, right?
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, so it actually wouldn't be that bad. I wouldn't look too crazy with that. All right.
Oh my goodness. So how'd it go last week, man? Did you have fun?
Yeah, I think it was pretty fun. Did some different things. Talked a little bit about my own experience, because it's a little bit different. Talked a little bit about working at TGC and being an in-house composer and sound designer for a pretty long while now. It's really been almost a decade that I've been working strictly in this in-house capacity, as opposed to freelancing and doing contract gigs and whatnot.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been fun.
That's good, man. Well, thanks for covering for us. We're all busy.
Well, not a problem. I think it was pretty fun, but of course it's a lot more fun when I can chat with all you guys.
Chase, you're next. Your solo show's next week, right?
Yes, it is.
That was easy. Well, I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks. So this is my last show for 2 weeks. And then we come back with a special guest, which I'm not going to say, but we're super excited to have.
Ooh.
That guest knows who they are. I know, right?
I like this.
So that's what, May 15th, I think, is when that is?
Yes.
Looking at my calendar to make sure. That's 2 weeks, right? Yeah. So, hey, Vince, we were talking in the green room about topics, and you had brought up some software, the PRV stuff, right?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. I'm a Cakewalk Sonar guy, and actually you probably know this because I poke at you on the channel on Slack about this. I've been complaining about Cakewalk Sonar for a while now, and I keep on thinking, man, why don't they do more things to help me out? Because I want to do things with MIDI that it just needs to do almost. Can it? Why not? But I've been actually really liking what I can do now with continuous controller editing in Sonar. And I'm so head down in Sonar. I'm not sure if this is something that you can do in Logic or Reaper or anything else. Actually, Chase, what's your DAW of choice? I can't remember right now.
Cubase.
You're a Cubase guy. Okay, so this is cool. So you can tell me if Cubase can do it. Kyle, you can tell me if Logic can do this or if Live can do this. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. Mike is but you can tell me if it Ableton can do this.
Yeah.
But let me show you some stuff. I've got let's see here. I'm gonna switch and do some screen sharing at the moment. Application window, Sonar Platinum. Cool. So you should be seeing my Sonar right now, right?
Yes.
And as you guys know, I'm a big Iwi guy, and with Iwi, I'm going to be doing a lot of continuous controller stuff. So a lot of my stuff looks like this.
Yeah.
Yep. So this is my CC2 for breath control. And this is my CC1 for modulation wheel, which is connected to my bite sensor in my EWI. And I always wish that I could actually grab onto CCs and edit them and move them in a way that I can smoothly align into other CCs that are next to it, and also connect and also control CCs on a note basis. And it seems like Sonar has done almost exactly that. So they gave me something called the transform tool. And with this, I can choose a note. And it will automatically select the CCs that correspond with this note. I'm just going to zoom in. Here's a note here, and here's a note here. Here's this note. It controls all these CCs here. And now that I have that, I can modify these CCs. I can do something like this, where I slant all these CCs down like that. But then you see, oh, it creates this really hard gap over there. You see how my CCs are now disconnected?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I can also do this. Let me undo this. I'm going to put on my transform tool and then put it into this soft mode. So it's going to try to smoothly connect the changes in the area that I want into the area that is not going to be, oopsie, don't want to draw, I just want to adjust that. I'm going to put that down, do that same slant there.
And it maintains it maintains the distances between them, right? So larger notes are still larger from each other, more distance. Yeah.
Yep.
I have to look around the webcam to see what you're doing.
It's smoothly connecting the amount of CC change I do in this area into that, so my continuous controller information stays continuous. You know, so that's pretty cool. There are other things that I couldn't do before. So let's say this: I've got this note, and because the CC2 breath information is connected to the actual sound of the note, if I want to make this longer or shorter, I would have to manually draw in my CC start. But now with this latest update to Sonar, I can do this, where, okay, well, I'll just, extend that and then extend the note, and then now that's good. So maybe this seems really trivial. Maybe you guys have been able to do something like this with CC editing that needed to be continuous and connected to notes. Or maybe this is just something that I've been dealing with because I'm just such an EWI person, and having to control and edit CCs and how they connect with notes is a really important thing for me. Tell me, do you know if Cubase does something like this, or if Ableton or Logic does anything like what I just described?
Well, Ableton, you've already beaten Ableton. You can draw in some stuff, but you're dependent upon, that's what I like the trackpad for, because I can draw in smoother than using a mouse. And then you've just got like a line, you got a diagonal line, and you'd have to fill it with nodes to try to make that kind of changes. And then once you get everything in place, you select the whole thing and you drag down. It doesn't always keep its uniformity. So no, Ableton, this is a weak spot of Ableton. There's been lots of complaints for to the Ableton forums and the people that work there to include this. But I do know Cubase can do a lot of this stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, Cubase has always had strong MIDI capabilities, right?
Yes, it's very powerful with the tools that they've been doing for a while now. Although I haven't discovered this soft tool yet, but I think when I click on certain notes, this square patch thing comes up, and it looked very familiar to what your smart tool thing was, and I wonder if I had just been not utilizing it, and now I can actually do that and get into the nitty-gritty and obsessing over it just as much and having smooth transitions, because I was just drawing it in like how you and Kyle were doing before, and it was just like, okay, but that actually is really, really cool. I think that's really awesome.
Yeah, I'm super excited about this. Actually, for the last 2 months, there have been things that I've been complaining about. I would poke at Sonar on Twitter. Admittedly, some of the things have been things that were my fault, where I just totally misparsed or just totally did not understand quite how Sonar wanted me to do something. And okay, I have to go through the process, learn it, and then okay, and then I can do it. And then this is a case where, honestly, in the last few weeks, I am happy to be a Sonar user. This really has this has made my workflow so much smoother for me as an iwi guy. Doing stuff with lots of continuous controllers. I imagine actually if I was doing the same thing where I just have like my hands on my iPad virtual faders and I just wanted to do a lot of rich CC information that needed to be smooth and continuous, that it would still be the same thing. I would be very happy with this. But man, with the iwi and this sort of CC editing, I'm going to say, hey, Cakewalk, I've thrown you a lot of flack lately, but you really made me very happy with this update.
So there's a video that Daniel James put out. Do you guys watch the Daniel James channel? He's
sometimes, yeah.
Fantastic composer and does a lot of YouTube stuff. Now living in LA. So now I can get him on the show, actually. We talked about getting him on the show, but he was in England, so it was a different time zone. So Daniel, I'm coming for you. Yes. Anyway, so I'm going to put in the chat a link, and he's a longtime Ableton user, which is why I started noticing him, because I was like, there aren't enough people doing Ableton composition and sound design in Ableton like I was, and it was hard to get like ideas. But I found him, found out that everybody already knew about him. That's typical for me. And so anyway, so now he's switched back to Cubase. Now I was a Cubase user before I switched to Ableton, and I watched this video, and the things that you're talking about right now, it is mostly because, as a matter of fact, during this video, I've watched the whole thing, and I think it's pretty much the only thing he mentions for his reasons why switching from Ableton to back to Cubase, or to Cubase for him, but back to Cubase for me, is because of that, what you're talking about right now. So check out that video, because he, especially anybody using Cubase, because he gives some really great insight on tips and tricks for MIDI editing in Cubase. Thank you.
He's fantastic.
I think I just found it and posted on the chat why I use Cubase over Ableton Live. Wow, just 10 minutes. That's interesting.
Yeah, and in 10 minutes, he just tears Ableton apart. But the forums in Ableton are doing that. This is breaking my heart. This is breaking my heart, all this Ableton hate, because you guys know how long I've been on Ableton and how much I love it. And Daniel James.
Hold on. How long have you been on Ableton?
3. I think Ableton 3.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to say Ableton 4.
4.
But Matt Pearsall got me turned on to it, and I think that was right before 4. Anyway.
Okay,
so that was 2000.
Live 3 was 2003.
2003.
Jesus Christ, yeah.
Live 4 was 2004.
Yeah, they used to do it.
You've been using it for a while.
I've been using it a long time. And I know it, you're the best DAW, and everybody says it, Daniel says it in the video. Your best DAW is the one that the one that you fly through. And these things that you're mentioning, Vince, are just like mouse clicks now for me. But they used to be really annoying, and now I've gotten used to this workflow in Ableton. But Daniel has flipped to Cubase because he just got really sick and tired of that workflow and all the workaround. He brought up a great point in this video, and it ties into your point, is even though the DAW you use is the best DAW for you, you have to look forward. You have to say, where's that company going with that DAW? And I think that was the combination of not having the MIDI functionality that he can find in other DAWs, but then also because Ableton is really pushing forward for performers, not composers, that he's predicting that there's going to be really, for those of us using it as a compositional tool, there's going to be an end. The end is nigh. Isn't that how it's said?
Yeah.
So he was like, I'm out. I'm still in.
Really weird.
I'm stubborn.
I was feeling the exact same thing a few years ago. I think it was about 2 years ago when Gibson acquired Cakewalk.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's what happened. Cakewalk was going through all sorts of weird things. They had a relationship with Roland for a long time back in the 2000s. And then Gibson acquired them. And of course, Gibson is not the best when it comes to fostering some of the things that they've
Are you kidding me?
acquired.
The Epiplex is still huge.
Yeah, same with opcode, right?
I'm joking. Well, the greatest tape delays just kind of died out thanks to Gibson.
Oh man. So I was, when I was really getting frustrated, I was also thinking, looking forward, thinking about what's going on. I was hedging my bets, trying to get some familiarity with Reaper because I was excited about Reaper and I saw a lot of sound design.
Don't do it.
Hey, Reaper is good.
I will rail against Reaper on my gravestone. I will be a Reaper hater.
It's a great sound design tool. I
know. Lots of people love it. Lots of people love it. It definitely has separated. It's like New Order fans versus Depeche Mode fans. Like they will never mix. Reaper has shown up and said, "Okay, you either like it or you don't." It's so funny.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, but hey, people who love it, get it done. Again, the best DAW for you is the one that works for you. But Vince, I stepped all over what you were saying. I'm sorry. I'm muting myself.
No, it's totally true. But it's good to look. It's good to really know what you've got. And sometimes that's hard though, because of if companies are doing updates, they might change how the workflow works. Oh, they did an update and now the UI changes slightly. This actually happened about 2 months ago. With Sonar, when they did an update that changed how you lock and filter tracks for editing in PRV mode. And it was actually really frustrating because I would do something and it wasn't quite responding the way I want. I actually had to alter my workflow a little bit. And I didn't know that I needed to do that until I complained about it and got frustrated for about 4 or 5 days straight. Then I learned about it. Okay, now I'm back to normal.
Yeah.
But then they do something really good like this. This was a really good improvement to workflow. I've seen hardly anyone say anything negative about this, if anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's cool to see these guys try something and make something positive, make a real difference, and really caring about their customers, because it seems like it wasn't just me, but a bunch of other guys were making similar complaints and they've delivered.
Nice. Very happy. Well, I'll tell you what, they've always been back in the old Guitar Hero days, Cubase is what we used because you could edit the piano view on the side to write red note, blue note, yellow note, and then write your MIDI in there. And no other DAW did that. I created a way to do that in Ableton, but it required scripting. And that who wants to do that? Install Ableton on every machine, install the script on every machine. If it breaks, it's you got to run around and figure out why it's broken on this machine and not the other one. So we didn't go with it, but we stayed with Cubase. And Cubase has these features that are just, or I say Cubase, I mean Cakewalk has these features that aren't in other DAWs. And the fact that they're delivering features that are in other DAWs as well is just, it really keeps them ahead of the game. When are they bringing it to the Mac? Because that's the last step. They're killing themselves by not competing on both platforms.
That's another news item. Actually, last year, Cakewalk had announced that they were working on Sonar for Mac. And actually, just last month, they said, we are abandoning the Mac experiments. They've been trying to do it. It doesn't quite work as well as they could. They actually publicly made available the latest version of that experiment. So you can actually download this sort of beta version of Sonar. Excuse me. This beta version of Sonar for the Mac and try it out. And some people say it works. It's okay, but it's not quite there. And it seems like it would be too much work and time and money in order to get that final 10% or whatever that needs to turn into a really viable professional tool.
Another thing too, I still call them Cakewalk, not Sonar.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was Cakewalk Pro Audio for a long time. And
there was a time I was using it, and it was called Cakewalk for sure. So Cubase, Chase. Tell us about your Cubase love. Gosh darn it! I almost said Chase. Tell us about your Cakewalk love. For Christ's sake.
Well, there's no Cakewalk love for sure. I have
I'm almost done, so you guys better talk. I'm going to be back. I need another one of these to get through this. I'm a mess. I'm kidding. My mind is just elsewhere because I'm here, but my mind is distracted.
I'm looking ahead to this Scotland thing.
It's a huge vacation. And
I've been seeing these pictures about Scotland. I'm like, God.
I can't wait. I can't wait. We leave Thursday, but and we have a house sitter. So don't come over here looking at my guitar collection. Two little thieves. I know what you're up to. We have a house sitter and a brand new pit bull. I never thought I would dig pit bulls. I got to be honest. I was like, But a friend of mine needed a home for his pit bull, and I said, well, we'll foster her, and we're fostering her, and she's rad. She is fantastic. She's scary, man. When like the mailman comes to the door, it's like bolt charge the door. But she's so sweet. She's not actually a mean dog whatsoever. She just really doesn't like anybody coming to the door. Anyway, so I'm sorry for my meandering. It's just I've got my mind on getting ready for the vacation as well too. Okay, so let me try this again. Chase.
Yes.
Tell us about how much you love Logic. I mean Ableton. I mean Cakewalk. I mean Cubase.
I'm enamored with Cubase, I must say. My first introduction with it was Cubase SX3 on the E-Machine, and it was running horrible.
Wait a minute. Hold on. You don't get to slip E-Machine in and keep moving. The train stops. E-Machine. Oh my God.
That was about, oh my gosh.
Who hated you and got you an E-Machine? Was this self-loathing with?
I hated myself because I saved up for that computer, and that's what I could afford at the time as a
sorry. I don't
senior in high school. So
hey, good. You know what? That's a good machine for senior. Yeah, if you're working odd jobs and going to high school, you did well. I'm sorry to tease.
It's okay. I got to start somewhere, but I remember doing a comparison. It was interesting. I was having this conversation today when I was at my friend's studio. Is that I was working in Fruity Loops. I'm a veteran Fruity Loops user from FL3 to FL10. And I noticed that the I/O difference from Fruity Loops to Cubase was extremely large. And immediately you can just tell the sonic difference that it was. And so for years I had decided I was like, oh, I'm going to go to Cubase, but I never did. And then I got this project about 5 years ago, and it was my first time trying to do a orchestra mock-up in Fruity Loops. No, not good. And so I was like, you know what? All right, I think it's time to make the jump. So I went to Cubase 5, and I never looked back. I really enjoyed it, and now I have 8, which is my lucky number. So I need to learn more about the tools, and I'm sure I'm not utilizing everything that I should be using, but right now it's just like as I go, I'm learning it as I need it. And so my biggest, I want to use like the arranger more. I love the markers, I love the colors, I love the groups, I love the I/O, of course. I love the smart tools, as well as I like some of their MIDI tools as well, like their arpeggiators. I love that there are other inserts that they have. I really like their EQ, and I've been told that the EQ and some of the compressors, the inside compressors, are really wonderful. The EQ is probably comparable to like the FabFilter EQs. Ooh. As far as what I've experienced, and also what I heard, and as well. So one of my biggest I love Cubase for this is that they integrated the Melodyne technology into Cubase natively. And so I don't have to own Melodyne. I can do it inside the DAW itself. And that just saves me a lot of, it's really, really powerful. It's just as powerful as like the Melodyne, or they have like the Antares auto-tune feature as well, like the pitch correct, if you know how to use it. They've got some really, really great solid tools in there that I'm so happy to be a user of.
Yeah, I'll tell you, you're on your road to, if you want to go in house in Europe, man, that's it. I mean,
that's what I heard.
Cubase really owns the market for game audio in Europe. That's for sure. And I think other than recording studios in Europe, which are obviously mostly Pro Tools experiences, Cubase, I think overall is the dominant European DAW. I still, and I've said it many times on the show, I waste the money. My wife says I keep my version of Cubase constantly up to the latest. If nothing else, I'm just giving money to those who treated me so well for so many years. And now that Ableton's starting to be a little bit of a pain in the ass, I'm going to maybe move back to Cubase. Maybe I should take Daniel James' advice and get back there. But what I did is I tried out Logic really hard. And I want to give it some love here because I used to do all my 5.1 stuff in Cubase. And Cubase confused me too because You could get Nuendo or you could get Cubase. And the difference was you could either own Cubase or you could spend the money to buy a brand new car on Nuendo. It was always so ridiculously expensive. And I never knew what I was going to get. You know, what do you get with Nuendo compared to Cubase? I have no idea. But so I always just stayed with Cubase thinking I was missing out on something, but I could never identify what that was. Maybe the chat room knows and they can enlighten me. But the point I was going to make is I used to, because I do a lot of mixing, I would bring in stuff to Cubase, or I would bring through having stems that somebody would send me, or trying to work with OMFs, which is another thing that Ableton won't do. I don't think I don't want to speak ill of Ableton. I'm looking right now if I can import an OMF. I don't think you can. No, I'm pretty sure you can't. So I would always take Pro Tools sessions from people and bring them into Cubase, or Pro Tools sessions from people and bring them into Logic if it's 5.1 mix, which is what I do the most of. And that annoyed the crap out of me. And that's why Pro Tools became something in my life, not out of a desire for Pro Tools. Sadly, I spend more time in Pro Tools than I do anything else because I do more mixing than I do composition or sound design now. And I miss it, you know. But I bring it up because in the chat room, everybody, Chase was talking about, other people were talking about how bad the MIDI editing is in Pro Tools. It's just horrendous. You really do, in my opinion, need to get away from that. But in all my years of Pro Tools now, it is really strong once you know the terminology, once you know the workflow. They really do focus on mixing and recording in Pro Tools. So I have to give it a little bit of love, which you can, I mean, anybody who's stayed with the show the whole time can go back to like episode 3 and I'm already railing against Pro Tools. So this is a really big move for me all the way down here. But I got to give it a little love. If you're going to compose, if you're going to do sound design, well, certainly if you're going to compose because you're going to mess with MIDI, just Pro Tools is out of the running. It's the last on your list of possible DAWs. Well, actually, that's not true. Reaper's on the last, but then the next one, perhaps one step up is Pro Tools from now.
Not Bitwig, not Traction.
No.
Reaper.
No, Bitwig is, you know, I mean, never mind. My cousin has a DAW that's better than Reaper.
Not Audacity. I'm just kidding.
I'm being audacious right now.
Come on.
So this is just taking slings and arrows. Anyway, I just wanted to say that the DAW that you're used to is the one that is best for you, unless you're going to do MIDI editing. And if that DAW is Pro Tools, run like crazy for somebody like Cubase, or apparently what Sonar is doing, which is amazing. But I went to Pro Tools for mixes because I just got tired of porting everything over. Did you guys ever do that? Just a bunch of OMF or AAF kind of imports and...
yeah,
so
actually,
nightmarish.
Vince found something cool.
I've got something. Yeah, I purchased this program called AA Translator, which is a pretty good piece of software. I actually did not know about this before. I always sort of relied on other people to export OMFs. One thing that I didn't realize is that one of the dudes that I sometimes collaborate with, he finally updated his Logic to Logic X, and Logic X does not export OMFs anymore.
Must be a patent.
I had no idea. They import it though, right?
Yeah, they do still import it, but they used to export it. And that's how I would get his stuff into my Sonar sessions. And well, I figured I would try this thing, this software called AA Translator, and lo and behold, stuff works. I'm super happy with it. It starts at like $70.
Wow.
And
yeah, I see the link.
Okay.
Put the link in the chat if you don't.
Yeah, it's
you know what's great about this
program?
It must be, because let me read you this opening paragraph they have here. Convert sessions to/from Ableton Live, Ardour, Audiophile, Audition, Aria, Cool Edit Pro, Capture, Cubase, DAR, Digital Performer, Fairlight, Final Cut Pro, Grass Valley, Harrison Mixbus, which I'm in love with, by the way.
Yeah.
Hindenburg. No, don't name your DAW Hinden. Maybe not good. iMovie. Lightwork. This thing is so good. It's like Kyle's cousin's DAW. Lightwork, Logic Pro, Media Composer, Adrenaline, InTrack, Nuendo, Paris, Oh, well, Paris was Otari, wasn't it?
That was old school, yeah.
Yeah, Premiere, Pro Tools, Pyramix. Jeez. Pyramix. It's like I'm making something in a craft class or something. Reaper, Sadie, Samplitude, Sequoia. Sequoia's supposed to be pretty good, actually.
Yeah,
Saw Studio, Sonar, Soundscape, Soundtrack Pro. Oh my God. My first DAW for just purely sound design was Soundtrack Pro, which was really powerful, but it's very old. Studio One, Studio Live, Symphony, Tascam. Oh my God. MX 2424, Traction, Triple Dat. Vegas, Waveform, and Wavelab. Is that an encapsulation of every DAW that exists? Because I've never seen a list of all the DAWs.
That is a whole lot. I mean, I feel like so many. I feel like a lot of them must be sort of easy or gimmies. You know, things like Ardor and Pyramix and stuff. I wonder. It's totally possible that there are guys out there that have set up their own bespoke Linux DAWs that only do this.
That might be it. Yeah.
I mean, that does seem pretty cool.
I've never heard of some of these.
Wow, dealing with these things, it's actually kind of cool that you could have any sort of semblance of functionality going between any of these formats. But it actually works pretty well for the stuff that I've done between Sonar and Logic, and so I'm super happy with it. And if other people need to send me stuff, I'll say, well, don't worry about OMF. Send me an AAF or send me an XML or a Final Cut Pro XML if they're dealing with stuff there. Or
wow.
Oh, actually, it does work. I did do some stuff in Reaper and Sonar. Things mostly work there. So
does it convert from Premiere? Did they list Premiere? I'm curious if the audio out of Premiere would work. Yeah, there it is.
There it is. Yeah.
Wow. Thanks, man. See, I'll tell you what, we stumble on great technology in this podcast. Kyle's an idiot, and then somebody will say something useful. That's the two things. That's a tagline of our podcast. That's amazing, man. Thank you. I didn't know about that because I really do get frustrated with the imports and stuff. What I've gotten to the point of doing is saying, send me a picture of your
screenshots of your faders
yeah, exactly. I can't think of the term right now. And send me the files all set to 0, and then I'll do it from there. But there's this weird feeling, how do you guys feel about this with audio people that we're like really kind of anal about details? Because I will be in that situation where somebody sends me everything set to 0 and they'll send me screenshots and I'll set all the nodes. And then I feel like the whole time I'm mixing, I feel like I'm not hearing what they were hearing when they sent it to me, just because I manually entered in their articulations or what's the word I'm looking for?
Moves or fader moves or something.
Yeah, they're
automations.
Thank you. Gosh darn it, the word was escaping me. So just because I manually recreated their automations, I feel like I've automatically done them a disservice on their music, because I'm like, I don't know if it's exactly right. And it's got to be off, right? It's got to be off by, milliseconds or microtones, but it's because I'm manually putting it in there rather than having some XML file that tells me exactly where that node's supposed to be. But anyway, it drives me nuts. And so in the end, I'm always like, I hope they like it. I hope it sounds the same. I'm afraid that one day, and this is not an invitation, that one day I'm afraid somebody is going to get a mix from me and say, Kyle, that's not even my song. I don't know what the hell you did.
Yeah.
That's a completely different song.
I feel you on that. I think that there is some paranoia with all this audio stuff. I mean, besides things like, our monitoring is slightly different, so him on his machine is going to sound different from you on your machine.
Oh my God.
And then, translating across formats, he does send you an OMF, but are you sure about that? I mean, it's so different compared to how many drawing applications support Adobe's PSD format, right? I mean, that's Adobe's format, but everyone supports it. And, if you've exported something in PSD in the last 10 years, it's going to look accurate in any of these different third-party programs. It's a really different world, audio versus digital visual authoring.
Absolutely. So how much... Well, you know what? Before, let's say hi to Isotope. Hi, Isotope.
Yeah.
So Isotope 6 released 420.
Oh, Isotope RX6.
RX6. Sorry, I just say Isotope 6 because RX is my go-to tool with them. Although I love Neutron. So yeah.
So I want to try that.
Anyway, thank you, Isotope, for sponsoring the show. I'm not very eloquent, so don't record this and show this on a billboard in Times Square. You rock. No, ours RX6 is huge. I can't get over the D Russell, so I've been moving my mind around. How are they doing the D Russell? We should probably try to.
Wait a minute. Do you actually have RX6 or?
Oh, I do not. No, not
Okay.
yet. Not yet. I need to upgrade it. So, what's the upgrade? Is it $299 from RX5 Advanced to RX6 Advanced? It's $299. I don't want to commit them. This show is obviously not a commitment, but I mean to the RX to uphold that price. But anyway, I think it's $299. But imagine that I hear it all the time in VO stuff where the mic is you hear it on the shirt or something. And they've somehow figured out how to get rid of that now. It's like Dumbledore works there or some shit.
Well, let's see.
Who would they have? Which magician would be capable of the kind of magic that RX pulls off? Is this a Merlin level? Is it a Dumbledore level? Is it a
Gandalf level?
The Gandalf level? Is it a Chris Angel level? What level of magician has to work at RX to pull this stuff off? I think Chris Angel's out. Maybe David Copperfield, because they're making lots of stuff disappear, and he's real good at that. He made New York disappear one time, didn't he?
That was the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, it's New York. I'm kidding. They don't all live on the Statue of Liberty. Anyway,
let's see.
D
Russell seems amazing.
Yeah,
what else do we got?
I mean, think about that.
Wind, dialogue isolate.
I think it's Houdini.
Who?
Dialogue isolate extracts dialogue from noise.
They're the key to my success. I'll tell you that. Get it with the key and the handcuffs and the kiss and the never mind. You know how I learned about Houdini and the key and the kiss was from a Kate Bush record because I saw on the cover. It's one of my favorite Kate Bush records. She's about to kiss a guy and she's got a key on her tongue. And I was like, what's that key there for? So I was like trying to figure it out. Somebody told me that's how Houdini would get the key that he would get out of.
That's cool. Wait a minute. I'm actually looking at this composite view was I don't think composite view option in RX5, was it? And it just says something really simple. Edit multiple files at once to fix multiple problems picked up by multiple microphones or in multi-channel files.
No, I've never used it.
Really useful. I think that is also new in RX6 and not just for RX6 Advanced. This is just general RX6 standard.
That might be
that's actually really useful too.
Their masking technology from Neutron. Maybe that's what they're doing.
But that's cool. There's all sorts of new stuff here.
What would you do to get rid of Russell? I mean, think about the technology behind that, right? So you've got a person talking with this sound happening the whole time they're talking.
Stop. Thank you. Done. It's simple.
You got rid of Russell by quitting your job. Retake, for Christ's sake, right? That's how I get rid of Russell. Do it again.
Oh, man.
I mean, God forbid in audio that anybody would have to do a second take. It's unbelievable with VO. Oh, my God, there's a good topic. I don't know if we should do that, but I'm going to touch it for just a second. Is how little redos people do. You know, because we live in a world of Melodyne. We live in a world of digital editing that's non-destructive. And so a lot of time, I think we've gotten in a bad habit, especially as an old recording engineer, because I am an old recording engineer, of saying, oh, that's fine, I'll fix it in post, you know. But sometimes, I know me personally as a musician, I won't take a bad take. I'll just redo it again and redo it again and redo it again and redo it again because I want that good take. You know, I worked with Mike on something and on a project. Well, I've worked with Mike on many projects, but this one in particular, he came here, we recorded here, and I was doing all the guitar stuff, and he was really good at hearing that I wasn't emotionally invested in that take. It was amazing. I didn't even know that I wasn't emotionally invested. I would just like do the take and he would go, yeah, you know, I think he was very kind. But he would say something like, let's do one more, you know, and Like maybe think about the part a little more. And I'm like, for Christ's sake, man, I did it. It sounded great to me, you know. And then when you get done, you listen to the second take, you're like, yeah, okay, that's better. But that's the worst thing, right? Because now you've confirmed that he was correct. So now he's just going to torture me to death till I get a great take. And I don't do great takes. Screw that crap. I got Melodyne for that, and I got non-destructive digital. Okay, so see how I brought the joke around?
Yeah, that takes so much editing work. I mean, I was doing that with the project I finished, and I mean, I tried to get the best take I could, but it's still like that's just more hours that you don't need to be putting into that if you just got like a good take to work with, and you just moving right through. I mean, I'm with you on that call. Like, just let's try to get the best take possible, because it is a lot of more post work in the end that you could just be using for mixing or getting closer to the master process for.
And from recording music, it doesn't really help the band for me to say, good enough, I'll fix it in post. What I'm saying is, let's really gel this thing together. Just, you know, do one more, or the one more for safety, or, you know, let's give it a little more distortion, or let's just, you know, give it a little more power. Because the band walks away from the recording experience remembering that. And then when they play it live, or they, you know, I don't know, just play it live, I guess. They bring that information to the concert. And so if you just say, it's okay, you know, we'll Melodyne that later, then next time the person goes and sings, they don't really have that incentive or the knowledge to just sing it well the next time they sing it.
Yeah.
Anyway, what was topic number 2? I'm looking for
Lyrebird or MP3 patents.
Lyrebird.
Lyrebird.
That bird.
That's kind of scary.
Oh boy.
First of all, I'm gonna link to the Lyrebird in the chat so guys know what we're talking about. But
by the way, chat room, what color would your solo album be? By the way, who out there's a Kiss fan? I loved Kiss. Did you guys like Kiss growing up at all? Yeah, your silence speaks volumes.
No, honestly, when I was a kid, I mean, Kiss was all right, and then I thought Lords of Acid were just absolutely crazy.
Lords of Acid, damn.
Yeah, they were weird. I loved them because they were.
I'm looking.
You know, Kiss seemed kind of tame compared to them, honestly.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
I had some weird taste as a kid.
Kiss tame to Lords of Acid. Okay, I'm gonna listen to them after the show.
Yeah.
Oh, they look wonderful.
They're wonderful, yeah. Lyrebird. So I just posted this in the chat. We are developing speech synthesis technologies for developers. And we talked about something similar to this a few months ago when Adobe was showing off their technology of, you know, being able to cut and paste syllables from what people have spoken and turn them into new words. Lyrebird is a little bit more ambitious. The copy on their website says you can copy the voice of anyone, record 1 minute from someone's voice, and Lyrebird can compress his or her voice's DNA into a unique key, and you can use this key to generate anything with its corresponding voice. And that is kind of crazy. They have some ridiculous demos where they have current President Trump chatting with former President Obama and did not quite make it to President Hillary Clinton, talking about how Lyrebird is kind of the future. And it's actually really scary how good it sounds. It's not perfect sounding.
No.
But it sounds pretty good considering that, you know, this was obviously not they obviously did not have Obama, Trump, and Clinton walk into a recording studio to create all the content. They must have gotten it from news clips and whatnot, and then they turned it into this. There's a thing on SoundCloud that's called Politicians Discussing Lyrebird, and they do a pretty good job of discussing Lyrebird. It's kind of scary.
You know, it is a little bit frightening. The quality is super low, in my opinion. Maybe if you tried to say, like, I was talking to President Obama on the phone and you recorded it, you might be able to trick somebody because it sounds kind of like you're talking through a phone, the examples I heard. But I wonder if that's a watermark, if that's on there on purpose, because can you imagine the legal implications? The word that is when bad things happen to you legally.
Ramification.
That's it. Ramifications. Can you imagine how much trouble you would have legally for having a software that could perfectly emulate the voice of somebody else? That's the one thing I wanted to bring up. And number two, sorry, Chase, I jumped ahead of you, is this is a really great exercise in art and ear training and trying to figure out if you can tell a real voice from the fake voice. Because there were some times when I heard Obama speaking in Lyrebird and I wouldn't have been able to tell the difference. There were certain words or because people don't just speak tonally, they speak with colloquialisms and they speak with dynamics and they speak with, all kinds of different parameters that fit into that mold of what they are as far as speaking is concerned. And there was some times with Lyrebird where I was like, other than the quality, if the quality was fantastic, I might not have been able to tell that wasn't President Obama.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, more than the quality, the fact that it got the rhythm to their speech. Clinton, Trump, Obama, they both not just have a very different tone of speaking. They have very different rhythm, the way that they accelerate and decelerate and take pauses. And that aspect was totally there in those Lyrebird demos.
That's pretty amazing.
It's pretty amazing, pretty cool, pretty scary.
Do we do is it David Hayter who's the voiceover guy? Can we recreate him now for our video game through Lyrebird?
Yeah, I was gonna say this actually would be interesting for voiceover artists. For maybe no, I don't know what I'm thinking. I don't know what I'm thinking.
I mean, it could be.
Now,
I don't know what I was gonna say.
You have to get us into legal trouble. You do it every show at some point. Just keep going.
I didn't say anything.
Oh man,
I didn't say anything. I'm free on this one. I'm good. I just left it there. I didn't know what was going to happen. I was going to say
technically SAG-AFTRA is still striking against those various companies, EA, Activision, those other large companies. They're still striking. What if right now, as we're speaking, some executives from EA are going into their vaults saying, "Hey, Lyrebird, can we get a copy of your software development?" And we've already recorded all these voice actors from the past. We certainly have at least 1 minute worth of voice recording from all these guys. Hey, we now have our virtual voice actors ready to work in our game. They are the voice actors are virtually scabbing themselves.
Oh.
We didn't say it here. You didn't hear
what you do as a voice actor is Lyrebird's got to be using some sort of algorithm, like maybe XML information or something based upon all the parameters that they have. What you do is you license your script of who you are. You just say, okay, here are my speech patterns. Here's my tonal quality. I've created an XML. You import it into Lyrebird and you can create anything you want, but you got to pay me, $50,000 for that game or do some kind of licensing like a DAW does or not DAW. I mean, like a middleware does, like Wise or UDK or somebody. I wonder if we're going to get there. I wonder if that's where the money is.
I wonder if it could be.
What'd you say?
I was wondering if we could just use it for different creative techniques. That I was thinking, like, okay, you want it to sound similar to this, but then you're adding different like effects and such on it, and then you get like really cool, like different voices because it's like, oh, it kind of sounds like this, but then it's not, and then it's something else, and then you create like new cool voices for maybe games or such. That's I think what I was thinking of in the beginning. Instead of just having it be directly like somebody, it could be a little bit of this and then a little bit of that, and then it ends up being something new.
Yeah, that's a good point too, because if like Morgan Freeman could create an XML of his voice and people would license it, but Kyle Johnson, they're like, that guy, who did that Wilhelm scream maybe or something. I mean, there are certain people who'd be able to license the essence of their voice, and then the other people would just lose the job, because even people as popular as some of the voice actors that are working in games might not cross that threshold, whatever that threshold is, that says your voice is now a commodity rather than your recognized voice, but we could replace it with anything, because Lyrebird would give you the capabilities to just replace it, you know, rather than license it from somebody. So you'd really have to work hard to get your career to a point where you're like Morgan Freeman level of voiceover, so that, you know, that's inimitable and people are going to license the file. It's kind of frightening. But if you think about generative audio, Lyrebird for VO. This is getting scary.
We've already, well, you know, we've already successfully avoided having to use real recordings of real instrumentalists for our soundtracks.
That's true. Yeah.
Now we're doing, you know, we might be doing it for VO. Bop Till You Flop has been mentioning, there's some similar stuff going on. In the last year, we've been seeing stuff about WaveNet and deep generative audio modeling for voices, and also stuff like Vocaloid, that sort of vocal synthesis stuff that Yamaha and other guys are doing out there in Japan. The way Bop Till You Flop says it, WaveNet is like bleeding edge voice synthesis where you crunch a ton of neural network layers together. I mean, I actually wonder what is up with Lyrebird, because it's not that. I don't think it's that, especially if their big claim to fame is you have 1 minute worth of recording. There's only so much that you can actually do with 1 minute worth of recording of a particular voiceover artist. I think it's not the same as what you do at Google or what you do with Vocaloid, where you aggregate so much information and you deep dive into that. So it's something different here, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what these guys show off in the future.
Yeah, I want to see it for sure. And I think that we will be inventive and come up with new ways to use the new technology. The fear I have about the new technology, not trying to be a Luddite, is that the technology doesn't have to reach an apex of success. It doesn't have to imitate to the point where, oh my God, I can't tell the difference between a human voice and the synthetic voice, or synthesized voice, excuse me. Or the same thing happens with the uncanny valley. You know, we keep getting closer and closer to animations and digital painting that makes it, you know, what do they call it when they paint something that looks real? There's a term for it. Anyway,
you mean, what, like digital mats and stuff like that, or
just there's an artistic term for painting something that looks so real you can't tell the difference. Anyway, we don't necessarily have to reach that point. I think my brain naturally goes there and says the minute it hits that, it's going to be hard to tell. It's kind of like a Steve Jobs thing, where instead of selling people what they want, sell them what you tell them they want. You know what I mean? And when we get to a point where it's good enough, I wonder if the switch will be that it never actually hit that perfect spot where the face looks exactly like a human and the voice sounds exactly like a human. But instead, we've moved far enough into the future, and all of the other digitization of our world has happened that now we're okay with something a little bit shy of what we're perfectly used to organically. And that's happened with MP3s, because there's been so many times that a test has happened where people have been quizzed on what sounds good, not being told what they're listening to, whether it be a wave at 192 or whether it be an AIF at 41 or whether it be an MP3 at 320. They're not being told, and then the listeners keep choosing the MP3 because that's what they grew up listening to and that's what they're used to hearing. And so it's not bad to them. So I wonder if the world is going to digitize itself into a place where we're okay with this less than organic and natural way. And then at that point, these technologies really take off because they don't have to hit that mark anymore of exactly imitating what's something human.
That's true.
Turing tests with our ears.
What'd you say?
Turing tests with our ears.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, I don't think it's bad though, because we have to change. You know, change is no, people don't like it, but change is good. You know, thank God for change, or I wouldn't have a telephone today. Or, you know what I mean? So
yeah, but change for the better. You know, hey, you mentioned that telephone. You know, I remember back in the 80s. You know, Sprint was a telecommunications company, not a cell phone. They didn't own cell phone airwaves. You know, and their big thing in their marketing campaign back in the 80s was a person picks up a phone and another person on the other end drops a pin, and the person on the phone, they can hear it. It's like, yeah, this is what our technology can do. We cannot do that with cell phones now. It's kind of amazing how bad the transducers for our cell phones are, the quality of our voice transmission over the cell phone airwaves, and we're only just starting to get to where we used to be back in the 80s. Everyone's talking about voice over LTE now.
Oh yeah.
What now that we have hundreds of megabits per second download to our cell phones, now we can finally have a somewhat decent sounding voice on the other end. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I remember when VoIP came out, I would pick up the phone and I'd be having a conversation with somebody, and conversations naturally pause, and sometimes those pauses time up so you're both not speaking, and it would sound like the person hung up without hearing the sound of them hanging up, because it's like a gate. It's like a complete shutdown.
Mm-hmm.
And then they would start talking again. Oh my God, they're still on the phone. I didn't realize. I thought we got disconnected somehow. It's terrible technology, some of that. Anyway.
Yeah, we're only finally getting back to normal.
Well, I guess. Oh wait, we got what? What do we got? We got like 5 minutes. What do we?
A few more minutes. Man,
we started like 5 late. We got like 7 minutes.
MP3.
Oh yeah.
MP3s. It's kind of amazing that MP3s have been around for more than 2 decades, and we know that because the patents just ran out. The patents are no longer applicable. The expiration has gone and passed. You no longer have to pay any licensing fees to the Fraunhofer Institute. Yeah, it's true. So I actually only just found out about it because Cakewalk actually put out a little update saying, oh yeah, MP3 export is finally free because we no longer have to pay those licensing fees now.
That's amazing. That's
crazy. Yeah, it was a little bit different in different places in the world. Like I think it just ran out last week in places like Japan and Australia, and then 2 weeks before, all those MP3 patents have expired here in America. So now all across the world, MP3 is free. So if you want to use a 25-year-old algorithm for compressing music into something that is almost good, you're now totally free to do so.
Is there a limitation to the 25? Okay, so here's my question. Do you still have to pay for a good MP3 conversion, like 320 or something? Does that 25-year-old technology not include 192 and above? And so what you're getting free is like real bad quality.
No. It's totally free. MP3 is totally free. It doesn't matter the bit rate. It doesn't matter what compressor you use, whether it be one of the standards that was offered by the Fraunhofer Institute. Technically all those free things that people have made over the years, things like the LAME codec and other things that have come out, theoretically, you should have still been paying to the Fraunhofer Institute, because even though it's a totally different codec responsible, the fact that it was outputting into this thing as into this particular data packing, then you still had to pay. But no, all across the board, it is now free. No legal things hanging over your head using MP3.
I once asked a person to take some of my music and compress it for the internet, and asked them what codec they were going to use, and they said lame because that's the music's lame.
Wow.
Thanks, Chase.
Wow.
Come on, man. You just kept talking, Vince, and I was holding that, and then it was so hard. It was
no. God.
That's pretty funny.
I just want a T-shirt that says MP3 is totally free. That sounds bad.
Or MP3 is lame.
Or mediocre.
Mediocre.
Mediocre. No.
Poor Vince. He comes on the show. He's got all this great information, and we just heckle him the whole time.
Actually, when was the last time you guys had to deal with MP3? Have you had to deal with it recently?
No.
In terms of like exporting it problems?
Yeah.
With Audacity?
Well, I mean, the last time I had to deal with it was actually for, let's see. It was doing some soundtracks on Amazon. because people wanted MP3 soundtracks. On the Apple iTunes Store, we were doing AAC, which is significantly newer and significantly higher quality. And there were also guys that were interested in FLAC soundtracks, but there's still a whole lot of people, they like MP3. MP3 is ubiquitous. As mediocre as it is ubiquitous.
Hey, I had a thought. So OGG, OGG's free anyway, right? That's why the game industry's been using it?
Oh, yeah.
So is there any advantage now to moving to MP3 from OGG? And do you think there'll be a shift for any reason?
Actually, there is a good reason.
It's like metadata, maybe?
No, it's because I believe that on the iPhone, there is hardware decompression available. So you can decompress MP3s and play them back while not having to pay anything on your CPU for software decompression and mixing.
Okay.
So that's actually kind of nice if you want music playing in the background literally for free on an iPhone. You can use an MP3. So if I was doing this, I would do something in Fmod and have separate banks for music that's going to be playing in MP3, and then other things are going to be playing as waves or OGGs for sound effects as well.
Gotcha.
But your MP3 bed, totally free. Don't have to worry about the CPU knock on that. And maybe it's just a small amount, like anywhere between 2 and 5%. Then that's cool.
Wow. So so if you go to like a bigger platform, you could still use MP3, just do it at a higher bit rate. So you have practically. I know I say practically lossless, and MP3 will never be lossless, but at 320, I have trouble hearing a difference between it and a lossless file.
Yeah, that's true.
You could get high quality in there.
Yeah, absolutely. 320K MP3 sounds pretty good.
I think so.
Yeah, Bob to You Flop says, good luck getting it to loop tightly, which is true. The whole thing with the 28 samples that you have to deal with for MP3s. Yep, you cannot do that. But there are other ways.
That's the irony. That's the irony, isn't it? Because you're talking about using it for background music, and background music needs to just loop very seamlessly. And now MP3 won't do that for you.
Yeah, usually that is the case.
Or that on my first project. By myself.
You were by yourself?
Before I had you guys to help.
Oh, sorry. You should have asked us, man. I mean, come on.
I didn't meet you guys yet. I don't know.
That don't matter.
Vince, actually.
Just send out emails, just randomly, just plaster them. I'll tell you my email address. It ends with @thatgamecompany. It starts with.
Still. How many emails have you got there?
I do that to Vince all the time. I say, "Here's my email address," and I give him Vince's.
He's laughing because he's got that spam folder overflowing.
Yeah, right. You just forward your inbox to me. Okay, I guess we should probably go. So I'm not going to see you guys for 2 weeks. Have fun. We'll talk offline about show and work schedules. I don't want to commit online, and we'll figure out how to make all that stuff. Because that doesn't mean just because I'm not here for 2 weeks, there won't be a show.
Oh yeah, there'll definitely be some shows. It'll be fun. It'll be great. Hopefully, it's not just me going solo. It is nice to have some friends to talk with about all this stuff.
Chase is solo next week, so just take the week off.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. Sounds good.
I'm not gonna do it to you, Chase.
It's fine.
All right, guys. Well, hey, everybody. Hey, guys. Thanks for being on the show. Chatty, thanks for joining in. And what a lively chat room. Is fantastic, man. I love seeing everybody out there. And follow us on that thing and like us on that other thing and do those. Bye. I don't think I hit the